All right, welcome everyone. And those that are watching this after, we wanted to do our quarterly check-in for the Philanthropy Hub. Wanted to start with a quick poll so we can see who's on the call today. So which best describes your organization? Are you already verified in the Hub? Have you created a profile and still working on it? Or are you just here to learn more before creating your profile? Give you guys a few more seconds and we will close the poll. All right, so we'll share the results. It looks like most of you here are verified in the Hub, and we have one that's here to learn more. So we should maybe take about 15, 20 minutes today. So we shouldn't give you back a little bit of your time, but wanted to give you an update about what's going on in the Philanthropy Hub. Let me share my screen with you all. Can you guys see the screen? Some thumbs up. Good. So some of this will be, first part will be a little bit of a review for what some of you already know, but again, we launched this in 2020. There are now 120 reporting requirements within the Hub. Something that will be changing every year, just trying to figure out what information we need working with our partners and working with all of you. Again, the financials are populated by the IRS. We currently have 151 organizations in the Hub, and then 85 that have been verified. So 151 that are registered and 85 that have been verified. Again, the process helps you build capacity and allows transparency for donors and funders. Again, we've been working with the Children's Trust. I know many of you were on the call yesterday that Barzella presented about the Philanthropy Hub and the way the Children's Trust will be using it. We worked with the county for CARES Act funding this year. We've been working with UF on doing some different research projects with some of the data in the Hub. And again, we are working with the county as well. And so we hope to continue making those partnerships to allow you, the nonprofit, to make your Philanthropy Hub go further in the information and data that you have entered in. Quick review of the processes here. There is, of course, the verified, which many of you are at, which is right here. There is, when you submit, you'll be submitting re-verification, and then when you are pending, so whenever you leave verified, you will go back to pending, then you have to press submit. And again, there's also the expired. So I will go show you on the Hub in a minute what it looks like when you are expired and how to see when your expiration date does come up. And then if anybody is marked ineligible, which I don't think anybody is right now, but if that means there's something wrong with your 501c3 status, and that is why you would be marked ineligible. I know we've gone over these helpful tips before, but we do have some, just wanted to remind you that when you're entering numbers in the Philanthropy Hub, don't use the $sign. The $sign will populate automatically, and don't use commas either, because the commas will throw off the system and makes you think that you are using a different type of denomination. So no, please don't use commas or the $sign. Always use the notes section. It's there to tell you more. There are many sections throughout at the bottom of most of the tabs. There are notes sections where you can provide some commentary to why you answered questions the way you did. There is a part on the first tab that allows you to upload your annual report. If you don't have an annual report, that's okay. I've gotten many emails asking what is an annual report. And so our definition of an annual report would be something that your organization produces on a yearly basis, or sometimes people do it every 2 years, that explains your impact in the community. It is not a marketing material that's promoting your organization. It is something that's showing your impact. And so if you don't have one, that's okay. We just got a lot of requests for people to be able to upload something that they produce every year. We want you to change your funding needs at least quarterly. So that's right there on that overview tab about what your needs might be in the community. We do have funders looking at those funding needs. So we want to make sure that you are at least updating those quarterly. And again, whenever you do have your 990 completed for the next year, we want you to upload that. And then of course, if you have questions, to use that chat bubble. And then my number one tip is visit the frequently asked questions page. I said this before. Anytime the Community Foundation starts getting a lot of the same questions about the Philanthropy Hub, we'll go update that frequently asked questions page with some of those frequently asked questions that you guys are asking us, and helping provide responses or changing stuff within the Hub to make it more user friendly, and working with GiveGab to make these questions and responses easier for all of you. My bonus tip, I was looking through the Philanthropy Hub this week, and I've noticed that a lot of you updated your cover photo, and it has to do with the Amazing Give. You want to make sure that that cover photo is updated and that the Amazing Give is taken off. Now, there's actually some of you on the call today that I saw it. I will, when I do see this, I will try to email you and let you know. But I know some of you have the Amazing Give mentioned either on that big profile picture or on your logo picture. And we just want to make sure that you take that off now that the Amazing Give is over, and that it's really about donating to your organization and not about the Amazing Give, because we do use the same platform for both. So we just want to make sure that anything about the Amazing Give is taken off of your profile for now. So this has been left in here from the last one, but I wanted to go over this again. You know, we always say it's okay again if you don't have that annual report. It's okay if you don't have audited financials. So we don't want you uploading just random financials from your organization. We only want them to be uploaded if you, on the financials tab, if you have an outside firm that audits your financials. If not, if we do see that you've just uploaded financials, we will delete those. Not everyone has audited financials, and that's okay. But if you do, we do want those uploaded. And if you don't, we just want you to leave it blank. So this one right here is something that we are working with. We always say that it's okay if you have to answer no on a question. Lately, the Community Foundation, we have noticed that many of you are answering yes, that you have certain policies or certain things in your organization. And then when we do a little bit of a deeper dive, we're finding out that maybe that's not the case. So we are working where the next go around, we're going to start asking you to upload some of your policies and procedures just for review. And we just want to make sure that, you know, we want you to know that it's okay that you marked no, because we want to see who in our community maybe doesn't have these policies, and maybe it's something that we can do a training on. We Community Foundation can provide these resources to talk about, you know, what our best practice is for policies in a nonprofit organization. So again, please be truthful when answering those questions. And answering no doesn't mean that you won't get verified. And again, the programs tab, I know we're having a lot of trouble with the programs tab, and we are working on it. But for now, we just want to say that it's okay if your programs aren't detailed. Many of you say that, you know, we don't necessarily have a program because our organization is the program. That's okay. We are working on fleshing out that programs tab to be a little bit more user-friendly and make sense for all organizations. You know, not just organizations that are maybe larger that have lots of different types of programs that maybe will be user-friendly to everyone. We always say it's not okay if you don't answer all the questions. So please answer all the questions to the best of your ability. You know, we want you to complete the questions that are even hidden to the public. You'll see where some questions say they're hidden to the public. We want you to complete those questions. If you don't complete those questions, again, you won't be verified. You must upload your 990, so it's not okay if you do not upload your 990, even if it's a 990N postcard or the 990EZ. Please update whatever you have, and that's how the IRS will calculate the rest of the section in the financial tab. So we did add the solicitation of contributions. If you do not have that, you will not be able to have a profile in the Philanthropy Hub. We know that it's not a requirement for organizations that aren't soliciting funds, but the way the Community Foundation views it is that if you have a profile, that is viewed as soliciting. And so you must have your solicitation of contributions in the state of Florida to be able to have a profile on the hub. And again, it's okay. It's not okay if you don't have a cover photo or your logo. So we want to make sure that you have those. And again, the Amazing Give is taken off of those. So this question is new. I get this question a lot lately. It says, when should I update my profile? So I always say that you should update your profile when you're not verified in the hub. So continue updating until you're able to get verified in the Philanthropy Hub. Again, another time to update your profile would be when you're provided feedback from the Community Foundation. So when we reach out to you because maybe your solicitation of contributions has expired, we want you to upload your new one. We've noticed that maybe you haven't uploaded a 990 in a year or 2 years. So we either want to know, like, is there a reason that you filed an extension that you know, maybe that's why you don't have those. So when we provide feedback from the Community Foundation, that's another time to update your profile. Again, we want you to constantly update your funding needs on the overview tab, quarterly or really as much as you need, but we suggest quarterly because that's sort of when funders are coming back looking at your information. And again, your state solicitation is outdated. Please update when that is not in date. So here's sort of the opposite of that. When not to update your profile. Please, after you're verified, do not continue to update your profile. Once it's verified, we kind of view it as that your profile is locked besides those funding needs and the stuff mentioned on the previous page. There are a few organizations that are constantly updating your profile. And what that does is that knocks you out of being verified when there are certain fields, such as the financial fields, the policy fields, that when you change those, it will knock you out of being verified and put you back into pending. So I tell people, please do not update your profile unless you meet one of those criteria on the previous page, because it will knock you out of being verified and cause a lot more work that really isn't needed. We also ask that you don't change your profile every time you have a staffing change or a board change. I know some of you smaller organizations have reached out to me. If you maybe have a new director put in place or you have a new board chair changing for something, then maybe we'll talk through that and get that added. But I know some of the larger organizations are a little bit in a panic about, do we need to update the demographics and the stat every time, we have 200 staff members, do we need to do it every time? And the answer is no. Really, the Philanthropy Hub is about a snapshot in time. And so, we want you to update it yearly, and you don't necessarily have to worry about changing it every time you have a board or staff change, unless you something that you really feel you would like to change. Then please email the Community Foundation, and we can work with you on that. And again, don't update your profile once you've been verified, because that really is sort of the snapshot in time that we want for the data. So here's some issues I'm hearing from all of you since the last quarterly update is, again, when to update. So we just talked through that, like when should I update my profile and when should I not update my profile? I'm getting a lot of questions about how do I share with my donors the benefit of the Philanthropy Hub. So in the on the Philanthropy Hub site, under more details, under the tab that says more, when you the menu drop down button, we are actually working, and hopefully by the next quarterly update, we will have it. And it's basically for donors, because right now there's a tab for nonprofits about how to create your hub, but there's not necessarily one for donors. So now that we have nonprofits in the hub, they're being verified, the data's in there, we will start promoting it more for donor use instead of more so just donors at the Community Foundation and funders in the community. We'll open it more up for, as an individual donor in the community, how do I use the Philanthropy Hub? And so we will have that tab coming soon. The next question is, how do I change the contact on the homepage? So in just a few minutes, I'm going to transition over and show you this question. Many of you have asked me about changing the contact, and this is something that will knock you out of being verified, but that's okay, because once you do change that contact, we'll go back in and verify you again. Just let us know. And we'll talk about, again, in a second, how to change the contact on the homepage. And then I get this question a lot. How do I complete the management tab when we are volunteer based? So I tell all the organizations, if you have no paid staff or a part-time paid staff person, then do not complete the management tab. The management tab is only for organizations that have paid staff. Not many of you are filling it out because you have a volunteer executive director, that someone that's a volunteer that you refer to as the director. That's great, but we would want them to be more on the governance page when we talk about volunteers, and not on that management page. If you have questions about that, let me know. And then the next question I've been getting a lot is, when can we see the data that is in the Philanthropy Hub that we are gathering from all the organizations? So what we are doing is we are having an annual report that will be coming out in October. The Community Foundation will be hosting a webinar to present the data to our community. And we are very excited about what's being collected so far. And we are working with a UF grad student, that's a grad student in nonprofit management, that has been helping us for the last semester pull data from the hub. It has not been an easy task, but grateful to have that help and to pull out all this great information and help us sort through this so that we can provide this great resource of data to our community and to our nonprofits. So to give you a quick snapshot of some stuff we've been able to pull so far, again, we have 151 organizations that are registered, not necessarily verified, but we have data from about 151 organizations. It represents about 200 million in operating budgets in our community right now with those 151 organizations. 75% of the 151 organizations do have some type of paid full-time staff. I should put that, paid full-time staff out of those 151 organizations. One question we get a lot is about different types of pay in our community for different level positions. So an example of those organizations that we say 75% of them, not necessarily all of them, have what they would call a high level executive or CEO, but for those that do, we're finding the median salary to be about $75,000. We'll have a lot more details on the benefits and stuff, the questions that we're asking. More than 50% of our local CEOs and directors have master's degrees or higher. It's a question we've been getting a lot. We also ask questions about capital campaigns. So currently we have 9 nonprofits that are running capital campaigns. We pulled that data, and those capital campaigns are running about 15 million is what those 9 nonprofits are looking for in capital campaign building improvement projects. And they have about a 5-year cap running on those projects. So we're just kind of keeping track in our community of who's trying to run capital campaigns to help give people an idea about knowing, is it the right time for your organization to do a capital campaign? So we'll have a whole section on what that data looks like in the presentation in October. And one feature of the Philanthropy Hub that we do have is the ability for donors to make donations directly through the Philanthropy Hub. Now, we always say that that's not necessarily why we have the hub, but it's sort of an added benefit. And right now, since about March of this year, we've had about $28,000 that has been raised through the Philanthropy Hub site of donors going on and donating directly on the Philanthropy Hub site to a nonprofit. So just wanted to share a little bit about what kind of data points we're pulling. And again, we'll have that full report in October. So before we go to questions, I wanted to stop sharing quickly, and I wanted to go over to, let me just share my desktop so I can go over to the, let's see. Ooh, I might have to stop. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome, thanks. So I want to show you a new feature that GiveGab has added, and that's over here where it says status. They have added this right here, when your profile expires. So the way the profile are expiring is we're doing it by the quarter. So if you completed your profile anytime in the first quarter of 2021, your profile will expire on January 14th, 2022. So even if you completed it in March, it won't last the full year. It will just last until that quarter. So those of you getting your profiles verified right now, those are going to April 15th. And so anybody that gets their profile done within that quarter will roll back to the first half of that quarter. So there's been some questions about that. So some of your profiles won't be in exactly a full year, but it will roll back to that quarter. And you can see the last time I submitted. So this has been a new feature GiveGab's added to make it easy for us to see when your profiles are verified. So you can see right now, this is the Community Foundations page, and it's marked under approved. So on the hourly facing page, you'll see the information right here, the contact for the organization. Many of you have asked how to change this contact information. So I wanted to show you briefly that is going to be right here under Manage Organization, Edit Information. So whatever this information right here says with contact name, this is what's going to be facing the outside of the page. And so that is where that's located. So anything entered under Manage Organization, Edit Information, this is how you would change that information. So I know that's been a question we've been getting a lot. So we have, that's really what I wanted to tell everyone today. And I do have a question right here asking for clarification about the annual report. The annual report is not an annual report that's submitted to the state of Florida for your corporation status. The annual report is a document, and I think the Community Foundation has one uploaded on our website. So, I mean, not our website, but on our Philanthropy Hub page, so you can get an idea of what we mean by an annual report. Some people do a booklet that can be uploaded. Some people do a one-pager. It all really looks different. And if you don't have one, it's okay. We just added that feature because so many organizations were asking, they were saying, there's no pretty graphics on this page. We want people to see information from us in a more formatted way. And so that's why we added that ability to upload that annual report. So I know that was a lot of information. So if anybody has any questions for us, please either type it in the chat or feel free to unmute. But just wanted to share really, go ahead, interrupt me if you need to, but just wanted to share what's next. And we are definitely excited about the data coming out of the hub and being able to share with all of the nonprofits about a snapshot, really state of the sector in our community right now. And again, we will be sending out an extensive survey this fall for working with GiveGab to update it. You know, I mentioned that this is a relatively new product for GiveGab, so I know it's not perfect, but we are working on getting it there, and definitely want your feedback. And I know GiveGab wants your feedback for how we can make it better and make it more user friendly. Yes, so updating your cover profile. Thanks, Shireen. That's a good question. She said, "Will updating your profile kick you off the approval status?" And so the answer is no. You can update your profile and your funding needs without being kicked out of that status. We are working with GiveGab to try to do something outwardly facing, not outwardly facing, but facing for you guys to see, so that you know what tabs will kick you out of verification status. So currently you don't have that ability to see that. And we're trying to have GiveGab either put a star or a color or something by it in your dashboard, so you can see that if you edit something, it will kick you out. Because right now you don't necessarily have the ability to know what will kick you out of that status. So that's definitely a feature we are working on. I think I saw someone raise their hand. Somebody have a question?
I do, Leslie. Lori Davis with Grace Healthcare Services. Good morning, everybody. About the employee status and part-time, full-time, I think maybe part of the confusion with Grace Healthcare is I've come on board with them as their first kind of administrative support of any kind, and I've stepped on as an independent contractor, not as an employee. That might be part of the confusion. So does that need to be, does that harm Grace Healthcare through this whole process to have an independent contractor in management, or do I need to become an employee?
No, so there is a section where we do ask about independent contracted employees. Just
Okay.
trying to judge. I mean, part of it is just for us to get an idea in the community for what type of people. I mean, really the knowledge for the nonprofits to know: are the employees contracted? Are they employees? Are they, you know, what's the different types? And really, we're seeing a mix right now. And so
Okay.
that's one reason that we actually at the beginning of the year added that contracted staff section, because it wasn't there to begin with and something someone needed. So we, in the management tab, there is a question asking how many contracted staff there are.
Okay, and the amount of independent contracting would make it appear as if I'm about 2 hours a week, but I've stepped on to help out to try and contribute some of my skill set for a very low rate, but I'm actually working pretty much full time. So how do we categorize that?
So it would be under a contracted employee. And
Okay.
other than that, we wouldn't necessarily have you fill anything else out. And that's one portion that we added that note section to the bottom of each tab, so that you do have the ability to free write more detail for a donor or funder to see stuff that maybe isn't available in the yes and no questions in the hub.
To explain a little bit more about it.
Yes.
Thank you, Leslie.
Any other questions? Well, again, the Community Foundation is here to answer questions. We will let you know when our next quarterly update. One says, how long does it take for changes to take effect? Sorry, just saw that question pop in. So usually it saves right away. There are some things that you do have to clear your cache for and on your site to be able to see it. So I always tell people that if you're on your computer and you can't, it's been 5 minutes and you can't see the update and you haven't cleared, try to clear your cache. If you haven't cleared your cache, try it on your phone. It'll probably come up. It's usually pretty automatic when you do make an update, but if you can't see it right away, it probably has to do with your computer and your cache. So if you do have a question about that, you can always write into the chat bubble and just tell GiveGab, say, hey, I've updated, my financials or whatever you've updated that you're supposed to be updating. And GiveGab can write back and say, they can try to walk you through how you can see it, but it usually is pretty immediate on the page. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining me this morning for this quick update. I hope these quarterly updates are helpful just to kind of give you an idea of where we're going with the Philanthropy Hub. And again, we always want your feedback, so feel free to reach out. I always say that my number one tip, besides looking at the frequently asked questions, is don't get stuck in the hub. If you get stuck, please reach out to the Community Foundation. We don't want any tears over the hub. It's just be helpful to our community. And so please reach out. We want to help you, and happy to hop on a quick Zoom with anyone, walk you through whatever you're having trouble with. So please reach out to us, and thank you all for joining us today. Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Leslie.